Well, first of all, wrapping up the Troy game, like I said after the game, I was very proud of our team's effort down there. I thought guys played extremely hard. The old adage, they left it all on the field, I think certainly was the case. Our guys played extremely hard. And if you said going into that game, you'll have the ball with a minute left on their side of the field with a chance to win it, I would love our chances of coming out of that game with a win. But obviously the turnover and then the penalty late, and it's a heartbreaking loss. But then you go back and watch the film, and we were probably fortunate to be in the game late. I think a lot of little things we did, like our punt return for a touchdown, the 2 turnovers we generated on defense, really offset Troy outgaining us by 150 yards. And when you go back and look at the game on both sides of the football, the 2 things that stick out are, number one, the amount of penalties we had on offense. When we had 11 guys on the same page, doing things the right way, going on the right snap count, we were a pretty good offense. But we just had way too many penalties, too many procedures. And, part of that, I think, is game one. Part of it is guys playing for the first time, but it's obviously something we got to get cleaned up. And then the thing that really stuck out on defense is just how poorly we tackled. We had 21 missed tackles. If you get 2 or 3 of those back, it's probably a much different football game. And, part of that we got to give credit to Troy. Jernigan is a tremendous player, and he does that to a lot of people. I remember once, this is going back, I think, like to 1997 or 1998, I was the offensive coordinator at Villanova, and we had a tailback by the name of Brian Westbrook. And I called this one play that, the tackle missed a down block, the tight end missed a down block, the fullback went the wrong way, and the guard slipped. And there were 5 guys unblocked at the point of attack, and he ran for 75 yards. So sometimes great players will do that to you, and Jernigan is a great player. On the other hand, those are tackles I expect our football team to make, that we had good players right there, and we just did a poor job of wrapping up. And we went back to the practice field yesterday, and we emphasized wrapping up, just like we have all camp. But sometimes you get in a close game like that, and not following through with those fundamentals really hurts you and costs you, and that was certainly the case against Troy. So we're bouncing back now and getting ready for a very good Tulsa football team. Tulsa, very explosive on offense. They have tremendous skill. Damaris Johnson led the NCAA last year in all-purpose yards. He's very dynamic as a punt returner, a kick returner, a wide receiver. He'll play wildcat quarterback for them. They'll run jet sweeps. It's a little different version of a Jernigan, but extremely talented. And I think what most impressed me about Tulsa is just their overall skill level. That they have so many different skilled guys, and the versatility of their skilled guys is very unique. That they have 6'2", 6'3", 235-pound guys that play tailback, they play H-back, they play tight end, they play slot receiver. So they're able to do a lot of different things from the same personnel group. And they're very creative on offense. They have a tremendous quarterback who is a transfer from Texas, who, just is physically tough, can make every throw, and also can beat you with his feet. So he's a very unique skill set as well. That usually those big, rugged quarterbacks like them are usually pocket guys, and he can beat you with his feet as well as his arm. And on defense, I think they run the West Virginia style, 3-3-5, the 33 stack that Coach Rodriguez ran at West Virginia. They're running at Michigan now, and Coach Graham was on that staff, and they're running that, and they have 3 tremendous defensive linemen. So that's going to be a challenge for us up front. And once again, we go on the road and play in a difficult place that they've had a lot of success at home. So we're definitely going to be challenged again, but at the same time, I think our guys are excited to get down there and compete again.
What were your thoughts on Shill's first start?
I thought he was very steady. I wouldn't say he was spectacular, but for a quarterback as a redshirt freshman starting his first game, I thought Matt was very composed. I thought he handled himself very well. There are a couple plays you'd like to have back, but I think overall it was a very steady performance.
What did you learn about your team after week 1?
Well, I expect our guys to compete every week, but it's also, when they go down and do it, it's also, it's encouraging. And I told the team on Monday, there are some positives to take from the game. And again, we're not in the business of moral victories, but the positives were we played hard. We went to a difficult environment on the road and played a very good football team, and I didn't think we flinched at all. I think across the board, our guys, competed and didn't back down and accounted for themselves well. But like so many games that we've played here over the past 2 years, when you're in those tight fourth quarter games, every play can mean the football game. In our inability to make a play or two on offense, not wrapping up a couple plays on defense, really ends up costing you the game. And it's been every game here. I went back and looked at it. In the 14 games that we've been here as a new staff, every game but 2 has come down to the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. And in half of those games, we've made those critical plays and won them, and half we haven't. And we want to be on the right side of those games more than not.
Did you get to see that Hail Mary loss for that Tulsa?
Yeah, yep.
What did you think about that?
I mean, when you get on the other side of the 50 and you've got a 6'8" guy that can jump, you put yourself in harm's way. So, I mean, it's, it happens. It happens to the best of us. And, it was a great play by East Carolina to make that play, but I'm sure Tulsa felt the same way we did, that it doesn't just come down to that one field goal or that one play. There's numerous other opportunities in the game that if you make the plays you should have made, you don't put yourself in that position to begin with.
Last time BG played Tulsa was the ugly bowl game. Some people think they ran it up in the fourth quarter, some of the things they did. The guys in your locker room that were there, do they have any bitterness, resentment toward what happened a couple years ago?
I don't dive into that stuff. I think a lot of coaches get into revenge and all that, and I just think that type of motivation wears off in about 3 minutes. We have enough problems to fix, and right now on our football team, that was only 3 years ago, and 80% of the guys in our locker room weren't even there. So hey, we're going to revenge a game that happened 3 years ago, and 80% of the guys weren't there. I'm sure for some of our seniors, it's a memory, but that memory isn't going to win us the football game. What's going to win us this football game is we need to tackle better. We need to defend some tremendous skill and a great quarterback. We've got to block some really good guys up front. And, we're playing a team on the road that has really been one of the best teams in Conference USA over the last 3 years. I mean, they were a 10, 11 win team 2 and 3 years ago. And I believe they're picked to finish, second in the West this year behind a very good Houston team. So, if we focus on what happened 3 years ago, I think we're devoting our energy the wrong way. And again, some people dive into that stuff. I just think that you focus week to week on what you need to do to be successful. And if you bring up something that happened 3 years ago, the player's focus isn't where it needs to be.
Last week in Tulsa's loss, they went 0 for 3 on 2-point conversions. As a coach, what's your philosophy when looking at like a 2-point conversion?
I've always been a little bit more conservative with that. I like to get that extra point on the board, and to me, you start looking at that 2-point chart in the fourth quarter. If you start trying to work those numbers earlier in the game, a bunch of different things can happen. Now, other teams take a different approach. Boise, for one, takes a much different approach, and they're very, very successful with it. I've just, to me, if we can kick that thing and get 7 points on the board, and again, I'm just a little bit different with it. Not that we'd never do it, but just a different school of thought.
And on kicking, I see Brian Wright and Jerry Phillips are both still listed as a core for the punter. Are we still going to see mostly Brian punting?
Yeah, we're going to see mostly Brian. He did not have a good day punting it on Saturday, but he's been too consistent through camp. He had a bad day, but I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to come out and punt the ball much better this Saturday.
Both teams coming off tough losses. Does it present a different challenge when you're facing a team coming off a last-second loss like that?
Yeah, I got to get us ready. I'm not in the Tulsa locker room. I have no control over that. I told our players that the season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And we did some good things that if we build on it, we'll win those 3-point games. And and it was similar to a year ago. I mean, we had some tough losses early, and then later in the year, as our guys got experience, we had some great wins in the last play of a game. So it's hard losing those ones late. just like at the end of the last year in the bowl game. But then you go back and you look at the Kent game and the Buffalo game and a bunch of other games that we made those plays in the fourth quarter. And, I think Matt Shills will benefit from being in that situation. Our defense will benefit from being in that situation. And you hope there's some lessons learned that we're in the exact same spot again. We find a way to win it.
Does the team come out